First up in the workshop, this is my rough working desk. I use this to finish my work pieces, so I'll bring them over to this desk and slap it on, and I can put all of the finishes on. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it gets a bit dirty. That's kind of what it's designed to do. I put this one together with an MDF top, with the idea being is that I can make a mess of it. I can bash it up and it doesn't really matter. I change this over every couple of months just to keep it a bit fresh. I have all the finishes that I use, or at least my main finish. This is the Brie Wax. Comes in a lot of different colors, which is what I like about it. And you can just sort of slap it on. Only really takes one coat most of the time. So it's just yeah, a really nice sort of addition, and nice to have it to hand next to the bench. Next up is the tool wall. I'm a big fan of DeWalt, as you can see. That it actually only comes really because a family member bought me a set of DeWalt tools when I was sort of getting into DIY and I bought my first home. Because of the one battery system, it just kind of made sense to kind of stick with that brand, but I really love them. I like having them out on display because, quite frankly, I like tools. I think it's just really cool to see what you've got available to you, but actually the other thing is it's just really nice to have them kind of to hand. So if I'm out here working on the desk and I need my drill, I'm just, you know, I've got my drill straight there, it's ready to go. It's also nice because you can keep your workspace clear, you know, it's not hard to put them away and get them out, so I can just take each tool off and on as and when I need it. As for kind of what I have, I've got kind of a mix. A lot of this stuff gets used really regularly, some of it not so much. Circular saw, planer, these guys get used a hell of a lot. Same with all of my drills. I've got the brad nailer over here, which is really cool, but it's not something that gets used on every project. So this is the jigsaw. Now, a lot of people don't seem to love jigsaws, but honestly, I don't know if it's because it was one of the first electric saws that I had, but I use this guy all the time. It's just so easy to sort of pull off, and you can make your cuts and get into those sort of, you know, nitty-gritty places. And then obviously you've got the sander. This is the random orbital. I love this guy. It's really small, it's really powerful, it gets used on absolutely everything, so I have that right to hand. And just to make it even more convenient, I have my sandpaper that sits and lives sort of just next to this one, so that I can just swap it out through the different grits as I'm going up the grit levels. This is my main workbench, so this is the Schoberg's Elite 2000. Really cool bit of kit. I just absolutely love working here. I use this for my finer work really well, the hand tools, so using your chisels, using your hand plane. I have everything I need to hand here, so I've got my planes and my chisels up here, hammers and my T-squares and what have you. I love this area. It's just such a nice place to work. You can bring over your pieces and sort of put them in the clamps. So this is the bench vise. What I love about this is that this is huge, so it's 600 mil. A lot of vices I've seen seem to roll in at about 150, so it's really nice to have just a really nice big area to be able to kind of clamp. I use this for putting a lot of my furniture in if I'm going to sort of tidy up the top with a plane, or if I've got some joinery to sort of tidy up with the chisels, and then just having it this size, it just makes things a lot easier to work with. So this is kind of my go-to for that kind of pieces of work. This is actually my original workbench. This was the first workbench that I built when I moved into this space. I sort of put this together from some old fence posts. I didn't really have any idea what I actually needed, so this has been kind of extended and modified a couple of times. This is why I used to do a lot of my original work when I started. One of the first tools that I bought was the chop saw from DeWalt. I was setting it up outside in the garage on the driveway, just on a pop-up work stand, and that was okay to start off with. But what I found is when I was working with the longer lengths of timber, this tiny little platform here just wasn't really supporting the full length, so I decided to build a mitre station. So this actually was this section here was an addition to the original workbench that I sort of put on since. And that just helps me. It means I can slide longer lengths of timber on here, and you've got some support each side, so it just means that it's just a little bit safer and your cuts are a little bit more accurate. I extended the fence as well, just so that you know, I'm really making sure that I am making 90-degree cuts on both sides, and that's been an absolute lifesaver. So move a bit further down, I've got a tool wall up here. Now that's actually, again, this is my original tool wall, so a lot of the tools on here are kind of the first tools that I bought or had when I moved in. A lot of them have had a lot of use, and a lot of them now are getting used for kind of my rougher work. You know, so if I'm here working on anything, I've got these sort of chisels here, which are I call them my hack chisels. I use those for just the rough work. So if I'm hacking bark off of a piece of live edge, or if I'm splitting a piece of timber, like I'll use those, and I don't have any qualms with hitting them with things or using them on, you know, that might damage them, because these tools are just kind of, they serve their purpose. They've done me well over the time, but you know, they're not the best quality, so I don't feel too bad about, you know, hammering them. A bit further down, we've got our bench vise. Again, this is the original. I love this one. This is my engineering vise from Stanley. What I like about this is that you can kind of lock it off, or you can unlock it, and it's really tight, and you can spin it around, which is quite nice when you're doing angled joinery. You can have it sort of at the different angles, and you can work at it from any angle that you need to get to. So that's pretty cool. I keep my wood glues up here to hand, along with some of the finer wood finishes. This is from Rubio Monocoat. Love those guys. Purely one coat oil, so it's just a lot of time saver when you're sort of finishing pieces. We move down, this is my bench mortiser. So this is cutting mortise and tenons, one of my favorite types of joinery, but quite frankly, it's a really hard joint. It takes some time to do. So if you've got a lot to make, you're making up a piece and it needs sort of, 6-7 mortises making, this is just a lot more efficient to use a mortiser. I do like doing them by hand because I think it's just, it's kind of classic. It's how they would have done it in the old days. But for efficiency and to make sure that you're able to turn out enough pieces to make money, this guy's essential. And then lastly, I guess on this side is, this is my drill press for Bosch. Had this guy ages, absolutely love it. It's the PBD 40. It has a laser on it, which is really cool. It means that when you're lining up your piece of wood, you don't even have to think twice about where the bit's gonna hit. You turn the laser on, it'll tell you exactly. Actually one of the best purchases I've made in a while, this. All right, so the last part of the shop tour, this is my center console. So when you look at people's workshops, they always seem to have a console in the center of the table, center of the workshop, where they can come and just put their pieces, they can work on whatever it is they're working on, and they've got access to all of their tools around. I wanted one of those, so I built this little guy. It doubles up as a runoff for my table saw. So when I'm working on the longer pieces of wood, I can kind of run the wood through this, and it's got this runoff out here. For extra long pieces, I can open up the workshop door and it just rolls straight out. I also wanted to put a thickness planer in, but didn't have a lot of space because this is only a 1-car garage. So I made a little space underneath. This is the thickness planer, another DeWalt tool. And I have it so that I can feed the wood in and it comes out on the other side underneath this bench. It gives me some space under there. So it's just a nice, easy way to be able to kind of run your wood through. Come out the other side, you pull it out. You do have to do a few trips, so it does hurt my back a little, bending up and down all the time, but considering I only have such a small space, I think it does quite a good job of keeping me having everything out and ready to work. All right guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm working on, you can check me out on the usual channels, Instagram, YouTube. If you want to maybe work with me or buy something, you can check out my Etsy store, and I'll soon be launching my website, which is whittlebywhittle.co.uk. Cheers guys.